a new bill is being introduced, and it's introducing basically a safe storage law for the state. It's being introduced by a Cleveland representative, Darnell Brewer. And this all ties back to a case that happened here in Columbus late last year. If you remember, Amaya Frazier. This was in that unfortunate string of events that we had a number of children and young people involved in accidental shootings. I mean, we had 6 in a matter of a few months last year. So this this law bill is being introduced as Amaya's law, kind of in her honor.
She was 11 years old.
She was 11, yeah,
11
and
years old.
Shot by her 14-year-old cousin in an accidental shooting over in the Hilltop.
Sure.
And her family ever since has, as a way to process some of their grieving, has tried to turn this into a way to make sure this doesn't happen to kids again. Their entire push has been, we don't want this, to be misconstrued as taking away anybody's guns. Mm-hmm. That's not what this is about. It's been about, we want to make sure that if you are a gun owner, that you're storing them responsibly. This is, I've talked with the family multiple times.
You were one of the first reporters on that story way back when it happened.
Yeah. And
if you leave a gun out and a child gets a hold of it and harms another child or kills another child, that adult should be held accountable for the child's actions.
And so that was Amaya Frazier's grandmother when she talked with me back in January about this, and basically say, because at the time there was still a lot up in the air of, would the cousin's dad also face charges? And he is.
He is now.
Mm-hmm. So because, ultimately they looked at this of, the parents didn't put this gun away properly, and it got into the hands of the 14-year-old who is also charged in regards to this, and now my granddaughter's dead.
Yeah. So talk about the safe storage law specifically. Then, like, what would it do? It would make the gun owner accountable, responsible if the gun is used in an accidental shooting and they didn't store it.
Basically, like if it is left out, which is what we saw over and over and over again last year, where that, these firearms were just left out, or if they weren't left out, they were in a way that were easily accessible. So it's basically asking for, firearms to be stored in safes, put away. And this is very similar to the gun law, the safe storage law that was introduced in Columbus back in 2022, is how it reads to me. And if you remember that one, that immediately got tied up in the courts. Delaware County said, you can't do this. Then it went to the appeals court. The appeals court said, we're not hearing it. And then last month, the Ohio State Supreme Court said, no, the appeals court's got to hear it.
You have to hear it first.
It's back. So that's still being litigated. But, the thing is about, the Amaya's law.
It would be statewide, not just...
This would be statewide. Yeah. And 10 TV did kind of have a hand in that. Because, I talked with the family over and over and over again. And after that story aired, I was reached out to by a handful of lawmakers, including... Darnell Brewer. He reached out to me later that day and said, hey, I saw this. I want to help. Would you mind, would you be able to connect me with Amaya's grandmother? And I got on the phone and I texted the grandmother, and I was like, hey, I know you've been trying to get a hold of lawmakers. One just reached out to me.
So
would you mind?
Made that connection for them.
Yeah.
That's great.
So now here we are seeing kind of the fruits of that. And like I said, this isn't about taking people's guns away. As a gun owner myself, it is about storing things safely. I make sure that, the firearms I have are put away safely and out of the reach of anybody who could get a hold of them that shouldn't.
Well, this is why I'm not a lawmaker, because I will out loud and say accountability, responsibility, and safety of children. They've got to go hand in hand. So whatever it takes. Our audience is laughing at me, but you know what I'm saying. So, it's got to be a thing.
Yeah.
And so if there's a way to make it safer while allowing gun owners like you to still have your gun rights, then it kind of seems like a no-brainer. But we'll see what the lawmakers do. Yeah.
I'm very curious how this is going to, be handled, because, the family's been... the families said, they're like, we're gun owners as well. Yeah. Like it's but we need something to hold these parents accountable and these families accountable for when these tragedies happen, because we're talking about an 11-year-old girl who is never going to graduate school. She's never going to go to college. She's never going to walk down the aisle. And that's what this family, is still reckoning with.
Sure. And the life of the 14-year-old who's, I'm sure it's just as devastating for him, a family member too.
Right, changed forever.
Yeah.
I mean, that is going to be something that boy is going to live with forever. So we'll see.
We're watching that.